Welcome. It's good to see a full audience out there. It is October 23rd. I'd like to call the governing board meeting to order. Mrs. Hahn, roll call. Present.
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 Here.
All right, thank you. Councilman Potter, if you would please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman Potter. All right, do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
President Anderson, I would like to remove one of the items under the information work study items, the public meeting for the comments on the capital project bond proceeds. I think that the presentation is going to be made tonight, and I really think that our community needs to hear the presentation, and those that aren't able to be here that are watching it on TV or will watch the replay on YouTube, that they might have some questions. And I think it's been one of my pet peeves is to have a presentation and have public comment or an action item on the same night without giving the opportunity for the public. So I would like to remove that item.
Okay, Dr. Chestnut, do you have any
Yeah,
information on that?
My advice would be, we're required to have this public hearing by the end of October, so we can change the timeline for next year. My advice would be to move forward with the agenda as presented, but we can bring this issue back as a information work study item next time and have the same discussion. We just need to get it approved in the minutes tonight.
Mrs. Coutray, are you okay with that? And bringing
No,
it back
no,
again?
if we have to have the item because of a date, then it just kind of, I'm disappointed that we didn't have the presentation then at the prior meeting. If this is a date-specific public hearing that we have to have, that we should have had this at the last meeting.
Okay. Point taken, thank you. All right, so that will remain on the agenda for this meeting. It can be brought up again at the next meeting, which will be November 13th. Are there any other items of concern on the agenda? Okay, do we have a motion? We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The agenda is approved as written. Let me scroll back up here. Okay, that brings us to our call to the public. I do have 3 speaker cards. Just want to remind you that members of the board may not comment items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. They're pursuant to ARS 38431. Action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for a future agenda item. The board requests that all comments be limited to 3 minutes and that you refrain from the use of speech or language that is offensive or inappropriate as pursuant to policy KFA. And if you'll please state your name, I do have your addresses written down on the cards, but if you'll state your name. So we'll go Michael Mariette, and then Diane Street Speck, and then Robin Shoup. So Mr. Mariette, come on up. Excuse me? Yes, go ahead and hit at the podium.
Okay?
Yep, that's
Okay.
good.
Okay. I just want to make sure that you have a general idea of what I want to talk about. Are we okay with discussing that?
As long as it's appropriate and not offensive, we're good.
Okay. Okay.
You have 3 minutes.
Okay. Michael Muriat, 3555 East Gary Way in Gilbert, Arizona. And I'm here. Thank you for letting me stand in front of you tonight and speak to you. Good evening, board and staff. For those of you who may not know, I have 2 sons that graduated from Maricopa High School, Justin and Tanner Muriat. They graduated in 2011. But unfortunately, in November of 2011, Justin was diagnosed with stage 4 testicular cancer. And the cancer had already spread to other areas of his body, and we were kind of floored at that point that that could happen to somebody so young. And when we spoke to the doctors, we found out that it had probably been growing for more than a year. Justin obviously exhibited symptoms when he was in high school. But unfortunately, there's a stigma attached to this type of cancer where boys are very embarrassed to talk about those types of things. They're not necessarily comfortable talking to nurses, parents, doctors, things like that. So, unfortunately, in September of 2012, if you weren't aware, Justin passed away. And shortly after that, I got involved with the foundation, the Testicular Cancer Awareness Foundation, because I knew I wanted to get involved and spread the word about this type of thing. So, and one of my goals now as our Director of Education is to go into schools and speak to young men about awareness and erasing that stigma and being comfortable talking about something like this. So my first course of action when I started that was going to be to approach the school that Justin went to. I thought this was a fantastic place for it to start. So I did that. I contacted the school district. They were very open to the idea. I told them I would be working on a presentation. They were very patient with me in getting that presentation back to them. It took a long time for me to get that ready. I did send that to them. I followed up on it and sent it again, followed up with the district, and was met with the response that it is too sensitive of a topic for us to deal with the students, and that it should be addressed on a one-on-one basis. This is the most common cancer in men aged 15 to 35, and it's been diagnosed at ages down to the single digits. Actually, the foundation leader, her son was 13 when he was diagnosed. So my goal is to, I have a presentation. I would like to come up with a solution with the school district, so we could present that. It can be an opt-in program or an opt-out program, much like they do with some of the other health programs. But I don't see this as being too sensitive. This is a life-saving measure. 1 in 270 men will be diagnosed with that. So that, based on our enrollment, looks at about 4 to 5 of these boys and their parents that can be spared the pain of having to lose a child, because if they are aware, they know what to do, they know who to talk to, we're all better off, and I don't have to stand here and talk about the fact that we lost Justin. So I appreciate your time. It was going to be a lot longer. I timed myself earlier, and I could not keep it under 3 minutes, so I kind of had to wing it there. So, but I thank you. I look forward to hopefully some direction on my next course of action, and I hope we can work together. So thank you.
Dr. Chestnut, can you follow up with Mr. Mariette? Okay. I don't know, his phone number's not on there. Maybe you want to get his phone number. Michael, can we get your phone number so Dr. Chestnut can follow up with you? Thank you. Okay, Diane Street, Speck.
President Anderson, members of the board, Dr. Chestnut. I'm here today to represent Butterfield Elementary, and there are much better people that should be here, but they are finishing up the student-led conferences. So thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of Butterfield Elementary. As a collective staff, we would like to share a few thoughts regarding the rigor and expectations of the new proposed District 301 plan. According to the strategic plan submitted by Dr. Chestnut, we understand the concern with retaining and recruiting highly qualified and effective teachers in our district. We feel our current 301 plan is one incentive in retaining teachers who before this year have not received a cost of living raise for the last 5 years, of which I know you're well aware of. According to the Auditor General report issued in March of 2002, districts plan to spend about 97% of their portion of the their portion of the Proposition 301 monies on teacher compensation increases, including salary and related benefit expenses. The way the 301 plan is currently structured, teachers work very hard to achieve those extra hours to earn the required points. Currently at Butterfield Elementary School, at least 10 teachers work a second job in addition to teaching full-time to provide for the basic necessities for their families. So again, we would like to thank you for listening to our validation and support of our current 301 plan, and ask that you please consider the information listed above in acceptance of this year's proposal. So thank you. And unfortunately, I can't even stay to listen to the vote because I've had dogs locked up since 6 this morning, and if I don't let them, I probably have a mess to clean up anyway, so thank you.
Okay, Robin Shoup.
I'm Robin Shoup. Was a member of the 301 committee, and I'm speaking for myself. But I'm also the high school librarian. In talking about the professional investment portion of 301, it was important to us, of the committee members, that every teacher had the opportunity to earn the 301 money. We all understand that no teacher stands alone. What goes on in one classroom affects the others. What goes on at one grade level affects the teachers and the students the next year. We try to include opportunities for all teachers to earn this portion of the 301 money. So there's opportunities for the new teacher that's just starting out in the profession. There's opportunities for experienced teachers, those master teachers. There's opportunities for those with children and family responsibilities that really limit their time. There's also opportunities for those that teach honors and AP, and those that teach the challenging and struggling students, the reluctant student. And it's for these reasons that I would encourage the board to approve the District 301 plan that's written. Thank you.
Okay, seeing that there are no other speaker cards, I'd like to close the call to the public. That brings us to our superintendent's report. Dr. Chestnut.
Board have several things to report on tonight, and first we want to call up Rotary to make our Rotary Students of the Month presentations, and we're very pleased that Rotary is here to begin these recognitions again this year. Great recognition last year, and I know that they're going to start actually with a presentation by Monica Rubio. So Monica, it's all yours.
Good evening, President Anderson, Dr. Steve Chestnut, and members of the board. My part of Rotary and my donation back to MUSD is in the summer months of this last year, 2013. I was able to host a men's basketball league. It's the first basketball league in the city of Maricopa. In cooperation with MUSD, Aaron Rosh, and Corey, the AD for the high school, and we were able to make that successful. We had 6 teams sign up, and part of that deal was in collaboration with both the Rotary Club and the high school is to go ahead and try to raise money for the high school athletics. There's always constant fundraising and booster clubs that I'm always interested in helping out. And in doing so, with this successful league, I want to thank Corey, Aaron Rosh, and his staff in his support with the Rotary Club. And with that being said, we were able to run the entire league just from the entry fees themselves, which means the umpires, wrong sport, referees, basketball, and I pretty much was the facility cleaner, restrooms, trash, mopping the floors and things like that, which I enjoy doing anyways because I'm an athlete and I love those kind of things, and you got to have a nice floor when you play basketball. And in doing so, with our success, we were able to raise an additional $200 for the high school athletics department. So here to present that check, I do have our Rotarian, Leon Potter.
Dr. Chestnut, if you... Could we have our students of the month? We have a number of students of the month. Could you all come stand and join our Rotary posse over here? The Rotary posse, yeah. So, members of the board, I want to say thank you for allowing us to come and take a bit of your time and our community's time to celebrate some of our great students. These students are nominated by the staff at their schools for being excellent, so I want you all to know, and there are a number of parents here, and very proud parents, that these are great kids, and we're here to celebrate great kids. The Rotary Club, one of the things that we encourage is what we call the four-way test. And the four-way test, you have a little card with the four-way test on it. The four-way test asks each person to live by these four questions, which is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? We want to encourage you to hear that and live by that, because we think that those are important questions that all of us, adults and folks in middle and high school, should be asking. We have four of our five students here tonight. The first student I want to introduce to you is Carla Villarreal. You're Carla? Carla is a 12th grade Cavett Dental Assistant 2 student, and she's recognized for being an honor student with great citizenship status. It is reported to us that she has a great passion for the care of helping others, is eager to make the most out of every learning experience. Carla tutors children after school in Bible studies, participates in drama productions, and loves arts and crafts projects. She also likes shopping at garage sales for great finds, and she likes to write stories. She's the daughter of Carlos and Maria Villarreal. So we want to say hooray. It's the bottom one, of course. Yes. Our second student, Trevor, right? All right. Our second student tonight is Trevor Casper. Trevor's an 8th grade student at Desert Winds Middle School. He was nominated for being an excellent student. He's also a front office aide and is in math honors class. Trevor has a 3.83 GPA. He plays soccer, and Rotary is told that he has excellent leadership skills as well as having superior academic achievements. Trevor's parents are Travis and Samara. So we want to say, hooray. Your test, right? Our third student is Tess Mix. She is from Desert Winds Middle School, and she's the September student of the month from Desert Winds. Tess is in honors class. She has a 4.0 GPA. She is a band member. She participates in the dance program and also serves as a front office aide. It's reported by her teachers that she's an exemplary student and displays a high level of effort, both academically and behaviorally. Her parents are David and Jennifer Mix. So, Tess, congratulations. And the last student we have with us this evening is Ivy, right? All right. Ivy Keene is a Maricopa Wells Middle School 8th grader. Ivy was nominated for her academic and her excellent behavior. She's in Honors Algebra 1 and in Honors English classes. She's a member of the National Junior High Honor Society, and she has a 4.0 GPA. Ivy is in student council and is reported to be a great example of a well-centered, outstanding student at Maricopa Wells. Her mother is Lori Natelski. So let's say good job. We have one more student to honor, but he is not here tonight, so we will honor him at a future meeting. So thank you all. One more round of applause for our excellent students.
Excellent students being recognized there.
Thank you, sir.
Next up, we have our student representative report from Sydney Acres. And just so you know, because Sydney might not tell you, we had a great homecoming week, and Sydney was a big part of that and did a lot of work. So thank you, Sydney, for all that.
I am actually going to talk about homecoming. Friday was our big homecoming day, but before that, Monday night we had a movie night donated by Ultrastar. So we got a theater, we got to watch The Blind Side. Everyone came out, got all really excited, ready for the big football game. So that was a great turnout. Thursday was our Powder Puff game. Seniors won. Really excited about that. Also, we had our first ever community parade, which was really cool. So we got a lot of the community members to come out and walk in our parade, and at the very end, we kind of recognized the boys and let them kind of charge out there and show everyone who they were. And then Friday rolled around. So in the morning, I actually got a text message from my advisor, my student council advisor, and was like, hey, meet out on the football field at 7:45. And I was like, it's 40 degrees outside. So we go out there, and Fox 10 News actually had come out and did this huge segment on our homecoming and just everything that we had done. So that was really, really cool. I actually recorded it and have watched it a couple times. It's pretty great. But after that, we all went back to class. Pep Assembly started. That went over really well. We got to find out who our homecoming court was. So our junior prince and princess were Angel Moreno and Alexis Carrillo. And our seniors weren't actually announced till the game, like usual. But after that, we had our homecoming carnival, which is something we do every year as well. We had a bunch of the elementary schools come out, and just a bunch of businesses from Maricopa come out and sell things, and we had rides, and it was just a lot of fun. And then, halfway done. Then we went out to the game. We blew away Flowing Wells, 49-0. It was amazing. Good game. After that, we had our homecoming dance. We had Living Energy come out and do our dance. It was great. I heard we got complaints from the Meadows about how loud we were. Woo. And then we all went to sleep till 3 o'clock in the afternoon the next day. Let's see. WRLC, which is for DECA, so nothing too big, but it's our World Leadership Convention that we attend every year. Last year we held it in Seattle. This year it's actually being held in Phoenix, which is really cool. So we get to go to that in 22 days, counting down. We're really excited. Other than that, I think that is all. Oh, so you know, our king and queen for royalty was Patrick Keane and Cheyenne Nielsen, which were a varsity football player and a varsity cheerleader, which was a really cool combination. And they just also happened to be dating. I mean, it just kind of all worked out. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else for you. Thank you. But I am going to sneak out and try to catch the last bit of my brother's last football game, so excuse me. Thank you.
Moving on to some other things. On the 15th, I was able to attend the City Hall celebration, and we had several board members there, so that was a great night, and it was fun to be a part of that. Good history lesson on the history of Maricopa, too. I learned some things I didn't know. To show you some pictures of the things that Sydney was talking about, this was the one of the Powder Puff football teams, and they had great shirts. Great picture there. And then, as Sydney said, Fox 10 was here, and you can find the video clip. I think there's actually 2 separate clips if you go to their website, and they're fun to watch. This Corey guy is kind of crazy, as you know, if you've ever watched Fox 10, and he was having fun, and the students, it was great because they filmed the football players. They were all in their ties and stuff, and they did a great job. They were much more dignified than he was, of course, and good picture there of him in Sydney. But it was great coverage for the high school, and really a nice look at homecoming week. And then, of course, as Sydney said, we won the game 49-0, so that was great. Also, congratulations to Pima Butte Elementary. As you know, they are an A school for the 4th consecutive year, and they are having their A banner celebration, and the governing board is invited. It will be Monday the 28th at 10 o'clock. And if you could arrive by 9:50, they'll be doing it on the outdoor basketball court. And they're actually having a drug alcohol awareness assembly and anti-bullying assembly with the MASH Coalition. We'll be doing that. That actually starts at 9, so this will be the second part of the program. And I'm unable to attend. I have a superintendent meeting that day, but if you can attend, they'd love to have you. And it's nice recognition. They have the banner, and then they'll raise it later that day, I believe, in the multipurpose room. So we're very proud of Pima Butte. Also, I want to tell you that on the 30th, we're going to have an academic focus meeting at the Ak-Chin Service Center at 6 p.m. Vivian Saunders invited us to come out, and I'm going to head out there with 4 of the principals, June Salaya, Rick Abel, Felicia Williams, and Jen Robinson. And we just want to update the parents on the progress of our academic focus talks at those 4 schools and answer questions and just kind of have a general awareness session. So that'll be good. Looking forward to that. And on that topic, as you know, we are rolling through our calendar here for our academic focus meetings. Every school has had their first meeting already, and several have already had their second meeting. They're trying to do one each month, September, October, November, December. And each school has posted the minutes or the recap, it's more of a recap of their discussion on their homepage, and you should be able to click on there and find it. So if you want to know what each school is talking about, you can do that. And just as a reminder, it's all 9 schools. Even though we only have 6 charters, we've asked all 9 schools to have the same discussion. And Maricopa Elementary School had 50 parents the other night at meeting number 2. And I think they also had pizza. And I don't know if there was a connection there or not, but they had 50 parents, and they had some students come with their parents. So they had a good discussion. They're also doing a survey. Several of the other schools are thinking about doing a survey. So we're looking at different ways to get feedback and input from people. So you'll be hearing more about this, but that's kind of the latest information if you're interested. I've been doing my official walkthroughs with principals. I've visited some schools this year, but haven't really gone into classrooms with principals, but I like to do that on a regular basis. So thus far, I've been out in classrooms with Ms. Sly at Maricopa High School, and Randy Lazar at Pima Butte, and Yvette Harp at Desert Wind Middle School. A lot of good stuff going on in classrooms, and my goal is to be in more classrooms than I was last year, and I enjoy seeing firsthand what's going on. A lot of good things, really, on a daily basis, and it's always fun to get out there and do that. Also, an update on our Ak-Chin partnership, what we're calling Memorandum of Agreement number 2, which is the $2.6 million grant. And often I don't have specific dates as to when we're meeting or whatever, because it's been a work in progress, but we have been working with the attorney this week. We just submitted a updated draft to the Ak-Chin attorney yesterday, and so we're hoping to wrap this up and have this on the November governing board agenda for approval. So that is our goal, and hopefully that will happen. And that's all I have to report.
Great. That brings us to our governing board member reports. Board members, anything to report?
Just comment on how successful homecoming week was in Maricopa. It was so nice to see all the schools participate in the Spirit Week. I know my children did. The Powder Puff game was actually delayed because of the line of people trying to get in, and the money that they raised for breast cancer awareness was just outstanding. I do have to comment, on Saturday was Stagecoach Days, in which our alumni from Maricopa High School played a flag football game against our community leaders. And they pretty much did the same thing that our high school team did on Friday night. But Mayor Price did express to me how wonderful he felt, that it felt like a real football game, because we had our Maricopa High School cheerleaders there, and our band came. And our band came after spending an entire day at another competition. And they didn't just show up and just walk up and set themselves up. They marched down from the parking lot all the way down to the field where they played. And he just wanted to make sure that everyone knew that how awesome it felt, and it felt like such a really good, like a real football game to them. And so I was proud, even walking around the businesses, seeing how they decorated. Walmart had cookies and cupcakes decorated with MHS colors. I mean, it was definitely Ram pride, and it made me very proud to be part of part of this whole activity and to live in Maricopa. And so that's all I have to say.
And I will ditto that. I will say my husband was a little sore after the football game, but that's
He
okay.
was fast.
All right, anybody else have anything to report? Okay, there is a legislative workshop on November 8th, so that's before our next board meeting. And it is open. If anybody else would like to go, you can go to azsba.org and you can check out the information on that.
I do have a report, President Anderson.
Go for it.
I do. I'm so excited to say, can everybody hear me okay? Can you hear me now? I was able to attend the Powder Puff football game, and we were, of course, I was wearing red, white, and black. I was wearing Maricopa school colors, but it was great to see everybody. I mean, literally the entire field and the bleachers and everything covered in pink. As you can see the Octonanian community. I was able to walk out with my community, my tribe, and be part of the parade, which was very exciting. You can see me in the background with my mouth is making some kind of a funny, I never can take a good picture for anything. So anyway, I'm really excited that we got to do this. The kids that I was with were all having a good time. They were saying how fun it was, and I'm just very proud of those kids. So take a look at them. They're very proud of their community. They're very proud of being part of Maricopa's Unified School District. And I was just proud to be able to be a part of it along with my own alumni. I did bring my varsity cheerleader jersey that I once wore on the cheerleading, down there. And it was actually really cool to see the bleachers because I thought, wow, I remember this. And so it brought back a lot of good memories. So just want to share that with everybody. And praise my kiddos, my auction kiddos.
All right. We will move forward. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing what happened during the week, actually the last couple weeks. All right, moving on to information items, work study. And 5A, which is the review of the monthly financial report for September of 2013. Mr. Roush?
Ms. Anderson, members of the board, Dr. Chestnut, I'm here to answer any questions. I have provided the monthly financial report, so if you had a chance to review it and you have any questions, I'm open to answering those.
I do have one question. On the first page of the financial report, you put a line in there saying we were waiting for the public charter numbers for those funds to come in. Do we have a number of students that were reported to the state as being, because wasn't it just our kindergartners?
Actually, it's all new kids to the school district, and we estimate, the rules are you estimate them for the first couple, 3 months, and you get a count, and then it starts going with the actual count. So our estimated count that we turned in was 745, and head count, and about 580 ADM. That's an estimate.
Okay, so we don't know when that part of it will come in?
Yes, we do have dates that specifically it will come in.
Okay.
You estimated the first 3 or 4 months. There's specific rules, and after in November and December, we've already turned in actual numbers,
Okay.
and so it goes by month.
All right,
So.
that's all I wanted.
Sure.
Thank you. That's all I had. Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Roush? Oh, yeah, you can't sit down. No, I'm just kidding. All right, thank you, Mr. Roush. That brings us to 5B. Dr. Roden, our ADE evaluation pilot presentation.
Roden. I'm the Director of Teaching and Learning for Maricopa Unified School District, and tonight I get the pleasure of sharing with you where we are in our Maricopa evaluation process. As we know, in December of 2011, the Arizona Department of Education put some new guidelines in place for our evaluation system, and those guidelines require us to have a quantitative data piece. And what that means is we need to look at data to see how our students are achieving from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. And with that, 33 to 50% of the evaluation needs to be based on that data. And again, that professional development be provided to any of the administrators that are using the evaluation tool. If we just take a quick peek at the graph of what it looks like, there are 120 points possible for the teacher evaluation. 60 points, or 50% of that, is the teacher performance. That's our Charlotte Danielson framework. That's the evaluation where the principal goes in and evaluates the teacher using the Charlotte Danielson framework. The red section, or the 33%, is the student academic progress. That's what's new to our evaluation tool. We piloted last year with 5 of our schools, and this year we have 9 of our schools using the Arizona pilot, or so the Arizona framework model. And the bottom portion in green is the survey data or peer data review, which is for 20 points of the 120 points, or 17%. And what that looks like is, if we take and get down into a little bit more of the details, 50% of that teacher evaluation is, again, based on the Charlotte Danielson framework. I can go back about 8 years. Maricopa, when I started, used Charlotte Danielson, so the framework itself was not new. So we were very successful with that and incorporating that under Arizona Department of Education's framework. And what it does is, Charlotte Danielson has 4 domains. The 4 domains are across the bottom, and it breaks the evaluation system down into planning and preparation, which is where the administrator is looking for, does the teacher understand the pedagogy of teaching, and setting up instructional outcomes, and designing instruction or coherent instruction for student success. Classroom environment is the environment itself. The classroom, is it safe? Is it orderly? Are the materials ready for student success? And instruction, that's the most important one to me, being teaching and learning. And what we do is, when we're looking for communication with students, questions that the teacher is asking, engagement, assessment, and again, achievement. Professional responsibilities is domain 4. That's everything that happens outside of the classroom. Your professional responsibilities with workshops, or with learning communities, or 301 committees, or any district level committees, communication with parents. So that's domain 4. And if we talk about the student academic progress piece, this is again our second year using this type of information, or the academic piece, to link to our teacher evaluation. And it's broken down into 2 different parts this year as well. And we're working on this with the Arizona Department of Education as we speak, ongoing throughout the year. Each teacher is asked to write what is called a student learning objective, and that is where they want their students to be at the end of the school year. And with that student learning objective, or the SLO, they're also asked to write a targeted SLO. The targeted SLO is going to focus on the bottom quartile of students, and taking a specific objective and having the teacher write a goal based on achievement growth for the targeted students. And that is new this year. This is our first time using an SLO or a targeted SLO. And again, we are in the process of working on it every day with the Department of Education, it seems like. And the 17% survey data. We had 5 of our schools that participated in the survey portion of the evaluation last year. This year, again, we have all 9. There is a student survey, a parent survey, and a teacher survey. The teacher survey or observation isn't going into the classroom. It's having the teacher do a peer review, and what they're doing is looking at, do they show up to duty? Do they help with committees? And they're survey questions that then get turned into the principal, along with the parent and the student, and then it's put into that 17%. And what we're continuously working with the Arizona Department of Education on these goals, the ultimate goal is to enhance student learning and look at the achievement that's happened from the pre-test to the post-test. It's ongoing. We want to use a variety of measures. We are this year using AIMS and Galileo and DIBELS for our elementary or lower level. Next year it will be different. We don't know what that looks like yet with PARC, but we will be transitioning from AIMS to PARC. Ongoing communication is something that we are constantly looking at, and communicating not only to our principals and our community members, but our teachers as well. And we want to make sure that this is a fair and equitable evaluation tool, because we are piloting this for the state. They're taking our feedback back with the other 5 school districts in Arizona, and they are making changes based on what our findings or our data come out to be. We definitely want to create a culture where data drives instruction. I think if you ask or interview any teacher, they will tell you that they are data rich, that they have so much data, sometimes they don't know where to start with it. So that is something that is constantly being used, is the data and the instructional outline for that. And again, increasing the data to inform the parents, the students, the teachers, and the administrators, so it's all put together in one nice package. Again, the evaluation system will probably look a little bit different next year with the changes with Park, but we'll make those changes as we get to them. Do you have any questions? All right.
With this new evaluation and the student achievement piece of it, and now this year we're teaching the Common Core we're using beyond textbooks.
Correct.
How is that fitting in? Is beyond textbooks matching up with those Galileo tests, Ames tests?
Oh.
So that, because I just got done with my student-led conference today, and the beyond textbook is working as far as teaching and reteaching, teachers like that, but some of the students aren't scoring well in the Galileo because some of the verbiage that is taught is not the same verbiage that appears on the Galileo, and so the scores are kind of askewed. And so I'm just curious how that's going to play out in the teachers' evaluations, because they're being measured on this.
The beauty in beyond textbooks is it's written with Galileo assessments. So the formative assessments are taken in Galileo. So the language between the assessments should be the same. What we're noticing is the language between the supplemental curriculum may not be the language that they have with the formative assessments. But yes, they align beautifully. And again, it is using the data different. They're asking to teach a smaller chunk and then assess, then teach and assess. And that's something that we're not used to. That's what Beyond Textbooks did for us this year. So it's beautiful.
I just wanted to know how
Yeah.
that fell in line with our assessments.
It does. It matches beautifully.
Okay.
You bet.
On the student learning objective, or the SLO, is that, you're using the Galileo, so is that a pre and a post test, or a pre-test just that year? It doesn't overlap where the teacher gives the test the next year and then they've got a new set of kids. It's just per academic year.
Correct. With the SLO, it is.
Okay,
Yes.
that was my question.
Any other questions?
No.
All right.
In terms of the student and parent assessments, can you explain to me a little bit more how that's going to work? Or
The surveys?
Yeah, the surveys.
You bet. In January, the Arizona Department of Education will release the new survey questions, or they are actually released to us now, but we'll have the opportunity to release them to you. And they go home, you take the survey, they're returned with your child. We are maybe going to be able to pilot them where they can be taken at your campus, so they'll be scheduled around a family night or a Title I evening, so you can come in, use the computers at school if you don't have a computer. It's supposed to be so easy this year, you're able to do it on your phone, so we're excited about putting those pieces into place for all of our schools.
So did I hear that'll be done in January?
Yes.
Or so they will be assessing the parents will be asked to make the assessment in January?
The survey, yes.
Or the survey, I'm sorry.
Yes.
The survey.
The
for
survey
assessment.
will come out in January,
Okay.
yes.
That just seems interesting, just because I don't think in January, as a parent, you have enough information about how your child's progressing in terms of their testing scores, in terms of Ames, in terms of whatever it is. So it'd be hard to assess because that's what the teacher should be assessed on, not if they're nice or, if their
Oh,
homework's
yeah,
good.
absolutely.
So maybe we should look at that.
That's a good
suggestion.
point to bring up to them. Yes, we can do that.
That's ADE mandated survey.
That is
So
an
they set
ADE
when
survey.
it's given and when it's, and do we see those results? Do they
We
post
did
those
not
anywhere?
see the results
Yeah.
last year. This year, we are to be able to see the results from the parent surveys. And it's released in January. We can set up our own timeline when we want to do it.
So it can be any time after January?
Yes.
Okay.
I just wanted to interject that this has been a challenge for us, and it has not been easy. And it's been a big training piece for the staff this year, 6 or 8 days, I believe, for all teachers. So it's not a small time commitment that we've committed to this year. And there have been some difficulties working through this. We had student achievement as part of our evaluation system last year, but this is at a higher level and more demanding and more rigorous this year. And so that's not been easy to really implement and develop the plan to implement this. But we're working on it a lot. Like Krista said, on a daily, weekly basis, working with the principals right now to make sure they have the knowledge and skills to carry this forward. But we are going to make this work. I think it'll end up being good training for us. It's just when you're in the middle of one of these things, it feels like a lot of hard work, which is kind of, I think, what it feels like right now to our teachers. But we're committed as administrative leaders to make this a successful project, and I think we'll end up helping the state in the process as well as helping our own staff. So I'm really proud of the leadership that Krista and Heidi Rattle have been providing on this, and I think it's going to yield good results for us. Also, I want to mention, too, that the law also required a new principal evaluation process. So we actually started that last year. I started that with the principals, where student achievement is part of their evaluation as well. It's a very similar format, 1/3 based on student achievement, the surveys, and the domains from Charlotte Danielson. And it went well last year. We're going to continue to do that this year with all 9 principals. So that's another piece that's part of this, and it's something that we're all learning together, and I think we're making good progress.
Okay, that brings us to item C, capital projects, bond proceed report from Mr. Roush.
Good evening. The legislature 2 years ago required school districts to present bond proceeds report, and then last year they updated it to that when you do present it right after the meeting, you just have to be taking comment from the community. So tonight we'll go over that. I want to mention that it is a public document, and every financial report is not required to have it. But in our district, every financial report has the same report every month and is available to the public via the board docs document on the webpage. So anyway, I'll go over this. It's the same document that is in the financial report. Again, it's not required, but we like to provide as much financial information as possible. So again, our proceeds, we have about 4 different proceeds left. From our bond sales, and from bond sale on September 8, we have about 7,000. Bond sale in 09, we have about 26, and our refunding, we have 9,000, and from the SFB fund, but it really is our bond sale because we front funded the bond, and then SFB just reimbursed the bond because SFB didn't have the money. So really, this is from bond proceeds. So that's about $800,000. Total about $858,000. We reconcile that with the county every month. And the prior approved projects in a board meeting, as you can see, the carpeting, Pima Butte we completed, shade awnings we completed, shade structures at Santa Cruz, Pima Butte were completed, energy enhancements at Maricopa Wells and the high school have been completed. Restrooms at the CT building, we have that on hold. I'll discuss that just a little bit in that the high school administration now feels that because of where the new shade structure is, the best use for bathrooms would be at the old gym. So they strongly are recommending that we look at that, and we've been looking at that with our architect, Don, and he's actually been doing a little bit of work for us, and D.O. Withers, the contractor that we've used to build a lot of our buildings, and is on site doing the construction of the shade structure. So we're looking at that. We renovated a room at MES, and we're finishing the shade structure as of right now, though, we've only expended about $510,000, even though the construction is pretty much completed. So we'll have that down to, with the architectural fees and the construction fees, through November, it should be paid for. So that's the approved projects. Bond funding funds remaining after that was $248,000. Actually, we have $100,000 again on hold, so it'd be about $348,000. And there were some other potential projects that we've reported for in the past. There's no decision that has to be made on that, but low-level ropes course, again, we're looking at the old gym bathrooms, and we do have a field turf warranty issue, and it is another project that we may need to use those funds or other funds. So obviously there's nothing, there's no decision that has to be made tonight. It's just a report. So with that, I'm open to any questions.
I have a couple, Mr. Ash. On the approved board projects,
Yes.
we list the carpeting, the shade awnings. Why are there all zeros? Did you not
Because
pay
we
for them?
don't, we've already paid for them. And in our board report, every month, we list how much money is left to be paid. And so there's zero because they've already been paid.
Why list them?
They've
they're
been
not- if they're
completed, but
already
we do not owe any funds for it.
Okay.
So in the progression, if you were to go back 12 months ago, you'd have seen that we did owe money, and then as the projects have been completed, every month we've decreased the amount owed. So the projects, now that they're complete, we owe no funds on those projects, but they are complete. If that
Okay.
makes sense.
Sorta.
On the other potential projects, you have one that states the old gym bathrooms, and that's an estimated $250,000 to $300,000. And we have only $248,827. Is there more money coming?
Well, not from our bond proceeds.
No, I know. So that's probably not something that we could fund if it's over.
Right, we're probably only have about $350,000 remaining from our bond proceeds. So,
Okay.
as I listed, there's other funds available in Fund 570 and Fund 610 that potentially could be doing those projects from. I don't have to list that in this report, but I
This
have.
is just the report. So there will be, Dr. Chestnut, didn't you say there will be more information on any future projects? We'll have more details so that we can decide if those are the projects we want to move forward with?
Right. The other potential project lists there, like Mr. Roush mentioned, these are things that we're currently researching and getting information on. Not ready to present that information tonight, but we're making good progress, and it's possible at our November board meeting we'd be ready to start talking about this and talk about what we want to put on the project list for the future. So looking forward to having that discussion in the near future.
Mr. Roush, on number 4 on the approved projects, last year, if my memory serves me correctly, we partially funded the energy enhancements, just a couple of the schools, to wait and see to make sure we got the return on the investment before rolling that out into the remaining schools. What's our timetable for identifying, when we identified whether or not that was successful or not? And
Very good question. Normally, you have to wait you have to wait till the project's completed, and you have to wait another year to go through a utility analysis after the project has been completed and compare it to prior years. So to get the best cost comparison, you have to go through a year after it's been completed. I can tell you that in general, it is right now, we're seeing savings. We're also seeing the management for us is a lot better because it's all web-based. So we can, without even going out to these projects, understand if there are issues. And so sending out a tech, when we send out a tech, we don't have to send out a tech to research a project or the issue. We already know that. And so it's a great tool for us right now. We also think that along with just saving energy, that's going to save quite a bit of wear and tear on the units, because we'll be able to shut them down, actually just shut them off. And before, we'd have to manually go out and shut them off. And so we're seeing quite a bit of savings in labor and maintenance right now. And we have better knowledge on how to operate our system. So we're seeing good things.
Thank you.
So can we have a report on that at the end of the year? Is that what I'm understanding?
Would probably be about this time next year, yeah.
Okay, any other questions or for Mr. Roush? No? No? Okay, thank you, Mr. Roush. That brings us to 5D. This portion of the agenda is for the public meeting on comments for the capital project bonds proceeds. So if there's anybody who'd like to come up and make a comment on any of the preceding report, you are welcome to do that at this time. Don't all jump up at once. All right, then we will close the public meeting. Thank you. Okay, that brings us to item 6, which is our consent agenda. Do we have any motions?
Agenda?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, we get to skip down to item 7A.
Recuse myself from this item because it deals with my company.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're going to get pizza while you're out, right? All right, 7A is discussion and possible approval of expense voucher for in Maricopa. Do we have any questions? I do have a couple questions. Does anybody else have any questions?
Let's see if I have any additionals.
Dr. Chestnut, this voucher, that is for our newsletter that is mailed out, and it's also for the printing cost, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And we also have this done with Maricopa Monitor, or the dispatch papers?
Right, we
So we
do
split it.
4 newsletters a year, one
Okay.
each quarter, so 2 with in Maricopa and 2 with Maricopa Monitor.
Okay. And so is this amount, it seems to be the same as it was before?
Right, there's a procurement process, a request for proposal process, and so we go with competitive bids, and the price is basically identical between Maricopa Monitor and in Maricopa.
Okay.
Question. I know within Maricopa that it is delivered to all households in Maricopa, but with the Monitor, because I know because I pay for that one, so I get it through that one, but does it go to all households or just those who have the subscriptions?
Maricopa Monitor started going with a similar format about once a quarter at least, similar to the way in Maricopa News does it, where everybody gets it even if they haven't subscribed.
Okay.
So on that particular issue, you get one of those, and then it has our newsletter inside of it.
Okay, thank you.
And so that's about 20,000 households with both publications.
Both public, okay.
Uh-huh.
All right. Okay, so any other questions or comments? We have a motion to approve
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, and we have 1 abstention. All right, Mr. Bartle, you can come back now. He did leave. That brings us to 7B, which is discussion and possible approval of our personnel schedule. Mr. Beckett?
Thank you, President Anderson, members of the Governing Board, Dr. Chestnut. You have in front of you tonight our personnel schedule from the HR department, and I'll entertain any questions at this point in time.
I have a couple.
Yes, Ms. Coutray?
Just for clarification, maybe I don't understand this process too well, but when teachers and principals sign contracts, that's for a year, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So, and I understand that, we took on the Smart Schools Plus so that we could have retiring teachers and administrators stay on and at a cheaper cost for us as a district. But how does that affect when they sign the contract? Because now we're making a change mid-contract, and just a suggestion, if we do this again in the future, could we like put that information in the memo before the schedule? Because I did have quite a few people that saw that June was resigning, and I got a lot of texts going, "What's going on?" I said, No, she's not resigning. So I think if we clarified something like that, if it happens again in the future, but I'm just curious how we can sign a contract and then change that mid-year.
And Member Coutray, we are moving forward with simply releasing Mrs. Salaya from her contract and then approving her under the Smart Schools contract. Again, no lapse in her employment or her work schedule with the district. So
So-
that is our proposal.
Okay. Is this going to create a myriad of teachers going, hey, can I do this now too?
And I would say we would probably entertain those requests from any employee in that situation.
And then just waive the contract assessment fee that we have for,
Once again, if you read the contract language, it's an inconvenience fee. It's designed to mitigate any interruptions in the classroom or any additional expenses the district would incur trying to find a replacement. In this case, we would not be incurring any expense.
thank you.
You bet.
I don't have any questions.
All right.
Anybody else?
Personnel schedule?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Beckett. Discussion and possible approval of the district's 2013-2014 301 performance-based compensation plan. That is Mr. Beckett also.
President Anderson, members of the governing board, Dr. Chestnut. You have in front of you the proposed 301 plan that the staff has reviewed, voted on. As you can see from the memo in the cover page, 91% of the staff did approve the plan as presented. I believe also a summary notes had been provided to the board, kind of with a timeline of what we did over the course of the late summer and early fall in preparation for this vote. Once again, I'll take your questions at this point in time, unless there's something specific you want to address.
Anybody have any questions? Go for it.
I'm just wondering how, and I think it's in here, but I just want to make sure, when the teachers serve on these committees or participate in professional develop, or all of the options they have to earn points, how is that verified? I mean, is there a pretty good system where they're verifying that?
That is correct. Yes, thanks,
Okay.
Mrs. Knorr. The teacher actually has to bring documentation, and then there also is a sheet that we provide them that simply lists all those professional investment options, and then they have to provide documentation that follows up with that as well. And the
Okay.
principal, once again, is the one that does it in that situation.
Oh, the principal verifies it?
They do, yes.
Okay, that's good. Just, and I mean, I think that everybody is trying to do their best, obviously, but as a PTO member, we typically, in the end of the year, have sometimes teachers who come to our meeting and sign in and leave. And I never knew what that was about, but now it makes sense. So I just think we should make sure that, it's not that hard to stay for a 45-minute PTO meeting to get your point. So we should just, I guess make an extra emphasis on verifying that this is actually happening. So.
Thank you, yes.
I think that's something we can emphasize with the principals, because
Yes.
that's a very fair point, and we can ask principals to make it clear that if you sign in, you're expected to stay, and that's something that we'll definitely follow up on.
Thanks.
Mr. Beckett, I did notice that a lot of the everyday tasks have been taken off, which is a nice, everything on here is something that they actually have to do extra over and above their contract. So I commend the committee on focusing on that. The one question I have besides that comment is, part of the measurement is on attendance. Is that classroom attendance, or is that the school, overall school attendance? It was, I believe it was on page 5. I just didn't know if that was per class, or was that at the school, or do we just need to clarify that?
Yes,
Later.
President Anderson, yes, that is a school attendance.
School.
And I think typically our schools are above 95%, I believe,
Okay,
typically.
okay. So that's just based on actual numbers from the
It
start
is.
of the year to the end of the year?
Average daily membership, yes.
Okay. Okay. And the surveys, again, they never see them?
And-
ADE,
Correct. And
Okay.
at this point in time,
Interesting.
we're working through the process, obviously, with the Department of Education on this. But again, the intent is, for the 301 is to just ensure that the process is getting done and that there's a systematic analysis then of those results from year to year.
okay. Because the way I read it, it looked like it was based on the outcome of the surveys. But you're saying it's only based on the fact that we have to give the surveys. They have to be given.
That's correct.
Okay.
That is what the intent of the committee wanted to see, was just the effort was put in to make sure that the surveys are done for both students and for parents.
Okay. Will you update us later when you find out if ADE will release those?
Yes, certainly. Mhm.
Go for it.
Mr. Beckett, kind of get you something to drink. A few questions, a few comments from my fellow board members. On page 1, I'll just go in order here. Resignations, and Diane mentioned in the call to the public the relationship with our goal of retaining quality teachers, and that is very meaningful to me in this context. Under resignations during the school year, it says any teacher in good standing who resigns from the district during the current school year will be eligible for the prorated portion of the professional investment portion. Why does that exist? It seems to me like we're rewarding behavior we're trying to prevent. We want to retain our teachers. We do not want to be paying teachers to leave.
And Member Bartle, I think the intent is if there are mitigating and aggravating circumstances that will occur where a teacher needs to leave and has earned their portion, at least a portion of that fund, we wanted to honor that. Sometimes, life circumstances happen, moves, deaths, things, big major life changes that would allow then a teacher to recoup a portion of that. I'll
Or
be
they
honest.
just quit.
But we would determine that as a person not in good standing then.
Well, okay. So my thoughts on that is that we ought to be, you earn the award at the end of the year when you've completed your service. And if you haven't completed your service, then I think that those funds should be dedicated to those employees who stick with us through the following year. But thank you for the explanation there. On the new hires, if a teacher's hired, is teaching and participating in the plan for less than the number of regularly scheduled contract days, then the teacher's entitled to prorated funds. So if a teacher hypothetically came in the spring, in March or April, they could receive funds from this, even though May 1st is basically when they turn in their homework, if you will. I think that falls in the same category. I would like to see us where we have a minimum number of days where they are participating and contributing and proving that they are highly performing, since this is based on performance pay, rather than just how it currently stands. On the FMLA, would you please explain that to me? I didn't understand they will remain in their original equivalent compensation pay amount based upon the successful achievement of the goals.
Member Bartle, the idea there was we do not want to penalize an employee who is out on a Family Medical Leave Act request. So whatever they would have earned, if they would have continued on during their contract period, the Family Medical Leave Act should have no bearing on that total.
The next section, part-time status.
Yes.
Says if a teacher is teaching part-time and participating in the plan, the teacher is entitled to prorated funds based on the part-time percentage of the contract. I don't know if we have any teachers teaching less than 20 hours a week, but do we?
No, we would have some .5 positions, though, that are being job shares. Yes, we've had that in the past. A teacher teaching a .5 part of the day and another teacher teaching the other .5.
Okay. We might, it might be of a benefit to tighten up that language so it doesn't conflict with the first paragraph definition of teacher where it says there's a 20-hour minimum. And again, if there's never, ever going to be less than 20 hours, then it's a moot point. But otherwise, the part-time could conflict with the 20 hours. Distribution of funds. Funds will be distributed to teachers by the last pay period in June. I don't know if there are legal issues that would prevent this, but again, in the spirit of retention, I think it would be advantageous for the district to distribute those funds in, say, October, to ensure that those teachers continue with the district in the following year.
You're talking about October the next year?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I disagree with that, but point taken.
Mr. Bartle, wouldn't that skew the budget if we hold it over? Because you're crossing fiscal pay years then, too.
Question for the finance experts. But
I can let Mr. Roush address that.
could we carry over funds into the following fiscal year?
We can carry them over, but accrual accounting procedures and the intent is to have it paid in the year that it's earned.
It's possible to do that or no?
It's possible, I don't know if it's legal.
Okay.
Once they've done the work.
Sound like an attorney, not an accountant. The appeal process, Mr. Beckett, did you have appeals? Do you have appeals with regularity from addressed by the appeals committee?
We have not had an appeal in the last 2 years, no.
Which does,
Anyway?
I'm sorry.
Would
member-
this appeal process follow the current appeal process that the school
Yes,
district?
absolutely, correct. We would follow the appeal process as it's written there, yes.
given the way that our performance pay is currently structured, it doesn't surprise me that there aren't any appeals since everybody's getting their equal share. But there's a potential flaw in our appeals process if that ever does change and that ever does happen, in that the way I see it, the appeals committee is made up of the same folks who have created the equal distribution plan. So it may be difficult for them to say no to one of their peers when they've established a program to basically give everybody those funds, so.
They do have the form they have to fill out, and the principal has to sign off on it. And I do know that the amounts are not exactly equal with all teachers. It depends on what their points are.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I would add. I think that performance pay is obviously, the definition differs for different people. And I do think that if this plan is in place and is rigorous in terms of the verification, in terms of the making sure that when people say they're on this committee, they're on this committee, that they're showing up to committee, that people say they go to this meeting, they go to the meeting. If we're rigorous on verifying that, I do believe that this is a good plan to, and that it will take effort on the teacher's part. But my concern is the people getting away with saying I'm on this committee and not being on the committee, not showing up. I can say I'm on a committee, but if I don't show up, what does that mean?
Right.
So that, to Mr. Bartle's point, I think I would like to just see a little bit more rigor in that verification. And then I do believe that it will be a performance measure maybe not student achievement so much, but it is a performance measure in terms of their involvement in the school, and their involvement in the school is going to make the students' achievement better. So that's my
Thank you. And Member Noor, I just want to reiterate, many times we do trust the integrity, the professionalism of our teachers. I think probably there are very, very few instances in which we have people that are actually scamming the process. That is a potential, and again, I'll reiterate what Dr. Chestnut said. We'll make that a strong emphasis point to our principals to make sure they're verifying that.
Thank you. And I'm not
No.
not insinuating that there's a bunch of people teachers
No.
scamming. I'm really
No.
not. They do a lot of work. Just make sure.
Mr. Beckett, in this plan, there isn't anything that, there's not a paragraph that says about accountability and how that accountability comes into play. And maybe that should be kind of included, that, you know, we do understand that we treat you with professional degree. However, you know, these committees, something on how that is verified by the principals and then submitted. There's nothing in this plan that states that.
Point taken. Member Cottrell, we can certainly add that.
Respect on page 4 under community relations, the third bullet, is that a typo, or it says create a web page by December 31st and maintain it throughout the school year?
Where's that?
Is it December 31st accurate, and so really just maintain it through the spring semester?
I believe
Or
it
is
was just Member Bartle, I believe it was just the December 31st was, we'd like to have it implemented by that point in time. You know, a new teacher coming in, maybe that's not a priority on their schedule of getting things done, but by that 31st, we would like to have that website established.
If they choose that.
If they choose that option,
choose that
correct.
option.
Thank you.
They may not choose that option.
Right. Clarification on the surveys again. So the 4% each, 8% for the parent and student quality of education surveys. It says parent quality of education surveys will be available for all parents to complete and submit to school. So the teacher, if they, there's, it's not, what's the metric for whether or not that is successful or not? Is it a response rate, or they just have to have them on the table and say, here they are, and they get their 8%?
And I will be honest, Member Bartle, I don't have a lot of that information, but I know that there is an accountability and responsibility for the sites to conduct those surveys and to measure, you know, the responses and compare those with previous years. Dr. Chestnut, you want to address that?
Mr. Roden might know the answer to that. I know the answer for principals. Do you know, Christy, do you know the answer for teacher surveys?
Can you repeat the question?
Do principals get the results from parent surveys that their teachers administer?
No.
Do they get a printout of number that are returned or anything like that? They do get a verified number.
We get that.
We
They
get it.
have not.
And we share that with the principals, isn't that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so there is a verification process.
Is that
Per teacher, right?
per school? I think it's per school.
Oh, okay. Because I know that principals have a similar survey process. I get a printout with every, the number of parents for every principal and students for every principal.
Whether one parent or teacher completes it or 30 doesn't matter relative to the performance pay requirement.
That is correct.
Okay.
It's just the promotion and encouragement of parents to participate. The teacher's responsibility is to promote this.
Okay, so if that is truly the intent, that our goal is to have this promoted so that we can get feedback and get results that are actionable, that we can do something about, improve our quality of education, seems like we ought to have a minimum number required response in order to give them 8% of this pot of money.
How is that the teacher's fault if the parents are not responding? If the, you know,
And
I mean, they're doing the promotion, they're trying to get it out there, they're trying to, you know, encourage parents to fill out the surveys. How would that be the teacher's fault if they do not?
Well, I guess to me, it goes
It's
back
just-
to one of our beliefs is accountability, and you have
I-
to have some metric. You have to have just best effort.
Absolutely.
As Ms. Noor pointed out, sometimes isn't enough, and we're giving away money as part of this. I think we need to get some
Yeah.
do our best to get a return on that.
This is a pretty rigorous plan, and and I think it does hold the teachers to a much higher standard. And I do believe that these teachers are going to have no choice but to show themselves, and you know, I do see accountability in this plan. And, go ahead, I'm done.
Have we always had this quality of education survey in the plan, or is this new?
No, this has been in prior plans as well, yes.
It has?
It has, yes.
Okay.
wasn't
Then I
it-
might
was-
agree.
But wasn't it this, I know last year's and this year's will be online, but in the past, wasn't it a written form that had to be submitted so the teachers could actually, at that point, they could count how many responses came back? Now that it's online, and if these reports are coming in with not having the teachers' names, how do they know what the response rate is? So you really can't ask them, if we're not given those reports, like per class, it's not fair to the teacher because there's no way to break that out if it's coming in by school.
What I can say is I believe that 2 years ago, it actually was a district survey. It was put together. We used I believe, SurveyMonkey or Zoomerang as the tool. The ones that we're now using are ADE generated here, so Department of Education. Also wanted to mention, I'm not sure if you saw in the presentation, obviously, that Mrs. Roden was making, those surveys are going to be part of their evaluation plan. So I believe there's going to be a much higher level of accountability in terms of getting those surveys done, because it's actually going to be part of their summative evaluation at the end of the year.
So they're already motivated to complete those surveys.
And this will be an additional motivation as
So
well.
there's 8% of this pot of money that we could potentially move elsewhere and get a better result from, and get an actual change in behavior, and possibly identify who our high-performing teachers are.
Mr. Bartle, can I address that real quick? The original intent, I believe, also of the 301 plan, and I don't have this information in front of me, and I'll have to get it to you, but one of the components that they do ask to have contained in all the 301 plans is that parent and student survey as a portion of it. So it has to factor in to a typical plan, from what I understand.
I agree with what Mr. Bartle is talking about in terms of ensuring that the high-performing teachers are the ones who are getting rewarded. On the other hand, from talking to fellow board members in other districts and teachers that I know in other districts, in every district in the state, there's at least this pot of money where it's pretty evenly distributed if teachers, you know, rise to the challenge, which again, it's not based on student performance, but it is based on teacher performance and if they are participating. And I guess what I would like to see is, I agree with this plan as it is. I think it is a good plan for the teachers, and it is something that one way we can reward our teachers, you know, as a whole, hopefully they all meet all these qualifications, and that would be wonderful. But I do think that we do need to look at our 301 money and find a way to reward our highly performing teachers. And when I look at the 301 funds, you know, this is Fund 12, correct? This evaluation is only for the monies in Fund 12?
That is correct.
We have Fund 11 and we have Fund 13. And right now, Fund 13 is funding teachers to reduce classroom sizes, but we have Fund 11. And we have both of those that we can look at in the future, I think, to maybe get to your point of rewarding, you know, teachers who are performing well.
Mrs. Moore, if I may, Fund 11's purpose is to basically just for a across-the-board salary increase.
You
Correct?
can. You don't have to.
And
I have your information, Mr. Beckett, but basically, you do the deed.
So we can come back and talk about the specific
Yeah, I think
301
we
funds, if that's
should.
a different
Yes.
topic. Right now, let's stay focused on whether or not we're going to approve this performance-based plan that the teachers have brought forth. So
Right,
that,
and
let's stay
that-
focused on that,
and-
and we can certainly put that on another agenda item.
Okay, but this is very relevant to this issue, because if there's some confusion about where we can be creative with performance pay, my understanding is Fund 11 is for that, and it's north of $900,000. It's more than the fund we're talking about, is across the board base salary increase. And then this fund is performance pay, is designed to reward high-performing teachers. Is that an accurate assessment, Mr. Beckett?
It was designed, yes, the performance pay was to give an opportunity for teachers to earn additional funds through a performance metric, the 301 plan.
So this is the vehicle with which to do what you're referencing.
Okay.
If we so choose to do so. So I just have a few more comments, and I get to say my piece, and you guys don't have to hear about this for another year. But in the context of what are our district goals, quick refresher on that: improve student learning, expand innovative learning opportunities, recruit, train, and retain a high-quality teaching staff, and improve instructional technology. So a potential scenario for the way that the current performance plan is presented would be kids in my class show up at a level that is below district average, right? Didn't you just say 95% is our average? So the benchmark there, I think, was 91%. So if we're below average in that, we get full segment. If we have these surveys available, we get 4% for the parents, 4% for the students. If we, the student achievement part is based on just one school site selected math or reading element. We could not achieve that goal and still get full credit toward our performance pay. And that's half of it. And then the other half is a professional investment in which we could be on a district committee. We could work the cakewalk at the Santa Rosa Fall Festival. We could show up to two board meetings or PTO meetings or site council meetings and hopefully stay. We could work the spelling bee at the school spelling bee, and we could have a student teacher or an intern in our class, and we get full credit. And none of that, in my opinion, gives me a clear indication of whether or not this is a high-performing teacher. And so I think that there are ways to improve the program, not only so that it better rewards the folks who are the better instructors that are improving and having a direct impact on the goals of the district, but also some disparity in the reward, I think, is a good thing. We've talked time and time again about the need to recruit and retain great teachers, and by giving everybody another an 8% raise, pardon me, doesn't have a positive impact on recruiting and retaining great teachers. If we just if it worked out so that we identified the top third of our teachers as the highest performing, whatever that looks like, they'd be getting a 23% increase in their salary. They get north of 50% if we just made it top 15%. So you're talking about a $40,000 salary compensation going to $60,000. I mean, that is very meaningful. That gets people's attention. That, in my opinion, would get teachers from around Arizona wanting to work at Maricopa Unified if they are a great teacher. And with that, I yield back to the president and the rest of the board. Thank you for listening.
Okay, Mr. Bartle, thank you. Dr. Chestnut, any thoughts? I mean, I'm sure there's many thoughts. Any you'd like to share with us? How's that?
Yeah, just some thoughts.
Okay.
I think that Mr. Bartle outlined some ideas to make this plan more rigorous, and I have no problem with that. I think that's something we can address, and I think over the next couple of years, I think we should. I think there's a political component to this that Mr. Bartle and I have talked about that is a reality, and the law requires a 70% approval rating. And so I just think that that's a reality we have to be aware of. This plan received a 91 or 92% yes vote, 91%. So it's pretty popular.
100% from several schools.
100% from several schools, granted, but I just know that we have to come up with a plan that, you know, the supermajority, a super majority of our teachers would approve, and that's just a reality we have to face. I do think we can continue to make it more rigorous. I think this plan is better than last year's, and hopefully the one we can present next year is going to be better than this year's, and I think that's the approach that I would take.
And I would welcome a plan that the bottom 20% of our teachers, and nobody be offended, there's a bottom 20% of all of us, oppose the plan. Because it's not fair to them. Well, maybe they're going to have to work harder, and maybe this isn't the right spot for them, but it means our top percent are getting paid and getting rewarded for their great efforts. And I agree that the law is flawed, but I do think that despite the flawed law, we can do a better job of achieving our objectives, our district goals within that framework. And I don't think we need to wait years. I don't think we need to piecemeal this. I think maybe it's a culture from within the teaching community that we need to figure out how we can affect. But I want all of our teachers, I want all of our staff, I want all of our community to be focused on how can we have the best of the best. And this program rewards mediocrity, and it doesn't have the impact that we want as a board and as a district to affect those district goals that we as a community have all agreed on.
Is that it?
For now.
Okay. Okay, so we have, you've had all the information before you. I will say we are getting there. It is a little stricter than last year, and we will learn from this year, and I'm sure have some other options for next year. So I appreciate the time being put into it. Do we have any motions on the floor?
I move to approve the performance-based compensation plan.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I just have a few comments I'd like.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 4 with 1 opposed. Thank you, Mr. Bartle, for your comments.
Yes, they are
Okay.
very appreciated.
That brings us to 7D, discussion and possible approval of the Arizona Business and Education Coalition membership agreement. Dr. Chestnut.
At our last meeting, we had the presentation by Arizona Business and Education Coalition. One of our goals on our board superintendent work plan for this year is to continue to build partnerships. I think this would be a good partnership for us to pursue. I think it's very complementary to the work that Arizona School Board Association does. And I think it could be a worthwhile organization to join. And I think it'd be a good investment. So I would recommend board approval.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Chestnut. Does anybody have any questions or concerns or comments?
No.
Okay. Any motions?
I motion to approve.
We have a motion. Is
I'll
there
second.
And a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, that brings us to 7E, F, and G. Do we have a motion to adjourn to executive session?
I'll motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We are now going into executive session.